Hello, nerds. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Generally Nerdy. This show that you are watching specifically is your weekend Nerdom for February 7th, 2020. I keep wanting to say 2019 still, and we're 2 months in now, so I don't know, I just gotta get my stuff together. Anyway, this is the Nerd News show that has it all. We're talking music, we're talking TV, movies, gaming, comics, and rumors. All of the things are happening. It's going to be a quick one, as evidenced by the fact that there's nothing else going on screen besides my face right now, and we're gonna hit an intro. Alright, housekeeping is that we had Birds of Prey last night, which explains the speedy edit today, trying to get this out in a timely fashion. So yeah, let's hit the news. Alright, and we're starting in music news. Music news, we have two pieces. First is Code Orange, officially launching a new record. It will be out March 13th. It's called Underneath. I haven't listened to anything yet, even though they did release a new video. I really have to get caught up on my reaction videos because I've been avoiding a lot of things that I shouldn't be avoiding. So that's going to be added to the list. The name of the new song that they did a video for is called Swallowing the Rabbit Whole, as in W-H-O-L-E. Get it? Puns. Cheesy title aside, I'm a big fan of Code Orange, so I can't imagine it's going to be a bad song. But that's what we've got there. Next, we're talking about Clutch. They have released another song in the Weathermaker Vault series, Weathermaker being obviously the name of the studio that they own and run and do things from. And they've already released the ZZ Top cover, the Willie Nelson cover, the reworking of one of their other songs. I think they did one other cover in this series, and now they've released Space Grass. Again, it's another reworking of a classic song. Arguably their largest song, though, Electric Worry, which was the previous song that they reworked for this series, kind of got them a little bit more mainstream notoriety, I want to say. So, I don't know. Space Grass is kind of the bigger song with the underground types, if that makes sense. Either way, both are great songs. Can't wait to listen to this. You can find the link to this song down in the description, so go check that out. That is all we have for music, though. So let's talk TV streaming. And in TV streaming, this actually is one of the larger sections, considering the speed in which this episode is going to be traveling. So, first and foremost, we have quite a few announcements for seasons. We have Castlevania Season 3 has been announced as March 15th, so that's pretty awesome. And then over on the Disney Plus side of streaming, we're looking at Falcon and Winter Soldier was kind of sort of officially announced. I say kind of sort of because they didn't give a date, they gave a month. It will be released in August. WandaVision will be released in December, so it got bumped up by a month. Probably because of the whole, we're not doing a Star Wars movie in December this year, so we need something to make money in December, right? So WandaVision will be December, and then Mandalorian was also announced just at a different time, will be coming out this October. Super stoked for season 2 of The Mandalorian. I can't even tell you. And then speaking of The Mandalorian, we got the investors call with Bob Iger, where he announced that the future of Star Wars is in Disney Plus, at least for the next couple of years, until 2022, I believe, which is the next scheduled Star Wars movie release date. All of the Star Wars things we are going to be getting are going to be on Disney Plus. That being said, he also spoke specifically about The Mandalorian in that they want to start exploring more characters in that series. And not just that, they want to start exploring those characters in their own series. So we're talking spin-off series from The Mandalorian, which might be a little more overkill. Didn't we learn this from the Star Wars movie every year issue? if they're all good, then everything, then, you know, we have nothing to complain about. I just don't foresee that being the case. They're going to miss the mark, and they're going to miss it hard. I know that a lot of the consensus in the Star Wars, in the nerd community, and then specifically in the Star Wars half of the nerd community, is that it wasn't because there was a Star Wars movie every year that they got bad. It was because they were just bad movies. Had they been good movies, a Star Wars movie every year would have been awesome. And my counter to that is, can we really get something good every year out of Star Wars? Or doesn't it take a little bit more planning than that? Because we're trying to put one or two people in charge of this franchise, and then that one or two people is the ones disseminating down to other producers and directors and so on and so forth. These are the stories that we're telling. This is where you fit in with these stories that we want to tell. All of this takes time. So trying to do one of those every year, if it was a comic book, absolutely, do one every month. But there's a little bit more work that goes into making a movie, and therefore one a year is oversaturating the market, is diminishing the quality of your product. So transferring that over to multiple spin-offs from this amazing series, everyone universally almost loves The Mandalorian. Apparently Mark Bernardin is not amongst us because he's really losing touch with the nerd base, I think. Anyway, but either way, by and large, this series is loved dearly. And so they're just going to oversaturate the market with stuff from this series and then diminish its value. It just doesn't make sense to me, but that seems to be, judging by Iger's, again, the phone call with investors, that seems to be the direction they're going. Hopefully it doesn't crash and burn like I think it's going to, but I totally think it's going to. That's what we've got for TV streaming, though. Now we're jumping over to movies. See, I told you, we're going quickly. It's a speedy episode. So movies, first thing is Knives Out. Rian Johnson is officially, and it has been announced by the studio, working on a sequel to this movie. And now there's also talks of a franchise. Again, oversaturating the market with your product diminishes the value of your product. Just probably gonna continue saying that because we have this weird mentality of, ooh, more is better, oh, this is all crap now. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Anyway, so that's what we've got for Knives Out. Not saying that a sequel is a bad idea, just saying that, you know, once we get past 3, maybe even 5 movies, there's going to be a little bit of burnout effect. Next we're talking about, and this is actually the only other thing in movies, is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Legendary, who owns the rights to the series now, is looking to do a full and proper reboot of the horror movie classic franchise. Oh, there is so much going on right now in this entertainment world that we all love so much that I just don't agree with. We don't need to touch on this series again, at least not in a reboot fashion. If you want to do something similar, call it something else. If you want to continue the story of Leatherface and his family, then I can understand that if there is a good story in there to be told. I just don't know if there is. I feel like Rob Zombie has already kind of ground that one into the ground, but again, that's just me, and I just have bad opinions? I don't know. We're moving on. Now we're going to talk gaming, and surprisingly, there's more gaming news and more comic book news than we had in movies, so there you go. If you're watching or listening on Generally Nerdy and you're getting this section, then you're benefiting from extra things. First up, we have the official kind of sort of leak of the new Crash Bandicoot game. That's right, there is actually a new Crash Bandicoot game. But don't get too excited because it's just a friggin' run-of-the-mill mobile game that has very little, if anything, to do with the actual Crash Bandicoot series. Pooh. Next, we are talking about Activision, and there was, much like Iger does with his investors, Activision, and pretty much any entertainment media company, has a phone call, monthly for some companies and seasonal for other companies. It's a phone call with the investors to kind of let them know what they're going to be seeing in the months or weeks or days to come. Activision did the same thing with their investors, and they officially announced in a very vague kind of way that they are actually working on a bunch of reboots and quote-unquote reimaginings of existing titles that they already have, which kind of sort of confirms the rumors that we were talking about a couple episodes ago about them redoing or rebooting or something with the first 2 Tony Hawk games. So I'm kind of excited about that, because that's casual play that I can do with my crazy work schedule. So I want to see what's coming out of this. But then our final piece of news in gaming comes from Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VII, it was just because of the setback, because the coronavirus is setting a lot of things in China back, even though this is Japan, whatever. So because there has been a setback, it's probably a physical printing copy kind of thing. Because of the setback due to whatever, coronavirus is what they're saying it is, but it might not be exactly what it is. The exclusivity window for Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 4 has also been scooted back and kind of extended. It is now going to be running for an entire year, so it won't be until 2021 that we see Final Fantasy VII on other consoles. That news again, Final Fantasy VII might be actually coming to the Xbox, which is awesome. That wasn't even really an option in my head, but the developer has put out some games recently on the Xbox console, so it's not outside of the realm of possibility. And if they're opening up the exclusivity after the first year, that means at the very least we're going to see it on PC, which was kind of anticipated, but Xbox is definitely in play as well. So that's what we've got gaming. Next we're talking about comic books, and again, we have more comic books than we did movies. So Tom King, we're talking about Tom King's Batman, hopefully for the very last time. He's come out in an interview recently talking about how he didn't want to kill Alfred, but DC said it was such a great idea, so he's blaming the editors for his idea that he was just hoping they would shoot down. But they didn't, so he went with it anyway, and it's not his fault. Tom King, no. Bad. Stop. You screwed up. Take your lumps and move on. It's still hoping that we get Scott Snyder to fix what's going on in Batman, but whatever. Next, we're talking about X-Men and the final Fantastic Four #1. It's a book that just came out this week, and it's got an interesting new plot element in the overall X-Men Marvel universe, in that Reed Richards is trying to figure out the origin of powers, effectively, of powers in the Marvel universe, of powers for humans in the Marvel universe, because I feel like the mutant powers we already understand, and the eternal, no, not even technically that. So yeah, it's all powers. He's linking it to what he's calling right now the God power, and how somehow everyone with abilities in the Marvel universe has some sort of connection to the God power. Very interesting on a more meta level than really this book kind of is going to allow for, but still a lot of fun to look at and discuss and kind of take apart at different angles. So next and finally in comic books, we are talking about Generation Zero, which, if you've been paying attention to the last few free comic book days, is DC's kind of ongoing free comic book day series. It's always the title that they release stuff that kind of gives us a clue on what's to come over the next year for DC. In this one, they just released the synopsis and the previews for it. They're turning Wally West into Dr. Manhattan, kind of, and he's also kind of getting the Morpheus chair, and really interesting, and it's going to be like a big, proper book, not just a couple of pages like you see in a lot of free comic book day books. It's going to be a good chunk of comics to read, so I can totally get behind that. But now let's talk about rumors, because that's really why a lot of people come to this show, isn't it? Is because the rumor mill is so much fun. So rumor mill, we have first and foremost, and probably the one that I'm potentially the most excited about, is Blackest Night. What rumor could we possibly be talking about with Blackest Night? Well, it's not a comic book rumor, it's a CW rumor. So the next crossover event that they're going to do in the Berlantiverse. You can't call it the Arrowverse anymore because Arrow's not on TV anymore. So we can now officially call it the Berlantiverse. Thank you very much, Kevin Smith. The next crossover is going to be something to do with Lex Luthor. That has been established. What exactly they're doing with Lex Luthor, we don't know, but that is going to be the next big crossover. So it's not the next one, but very likely the crossover event following that, so 6 months to a year after whatever the Lex Luthor crossover event is very likely going to be the Blackest Night. And it's also very likely going to start in the Superman and Lois Tyler Hoechlin fronted and Bitsy Tulloch fronted series that has yet to start. So there's a lot of things that have to get put into motion before we can get to this, but this is one of the coolest freaking DC stories of the last 2 decades. Really, really awesome that they're going to try and CWize it for all of their shortcomings on the CW. I feel like Crisis on Infinite Earths was really cool. I really liked seeing a lot of that stuff on screen. I really enjoy these crossover things, even though I haven't been keeping up on the series as much. Series. So yeah, really cool. Hopefully this one has some legs and they are actually going in that direction. With that Green Lantern tease that we got before, it kind of makes sense, but we won't know, so we're moving on. Next rumor, this is a big rumor still. It has not been finalized or confirmed that it's even happening. Everyone is just speculating. So if you read or hear otherwise, you know they're misinformed. The rumor is that Sam Raimi has been approached to take the helm for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's right, Sam Raimi, the Evil Dead guy, the Spider-Man guy. He is going to be the one, according to this rumor, that takes over for Doctor Strange, and that couldn't be the greatest upgrade in directors ever, could it? Like, from Scott Dickinson. From Scott Dickinson to Sam freaking Raimi? Yeah, I feel like that's a total upgrade. Next, we are talking about the Fantastic Four, and there's actually quite a few in here, so pardon me if I sound a little stilted while I read what I have written here. So first, we have more rumors that our introduction to the first family of comic books is going to be in Ant-Man 3. We've already addressed this previously. These are new rumors from more sources, but they are not new rumors in that we haven't heard them before. So we do have a couple more rumors saying that Ant-Man 3 will be our official introduction to the Fantastic Four. We also have more rumors about the first Marvel Fantastic Four movie being changing the way the family is presented from a group of scientists, effectively, to a family of explorers, which then also changes how they get their special abilities. Because they don't go to space, they explore a different dimension, specifically the negative zone, and that is where they get their powers. That is also, according to this new set of rumors, which, again, is echoing rumors we've talked about previously, that is also going to be how they introduce us to them as they emerge from the negative zone. They think they're still in the 70s, I believe, when really it's currently the, current date, whenever this actually happened, 2021, very likely, 2022, also probable. That will explain why they haven't aged, and also how Reed Richards was working with Hank Pym when Pym was developing his Pym particles and so on and so forth. Also, this kind of leads into the potential for the Avengers building to become the Baxter building, because Reed Richards, coming out of the negative zone, then makes a fortune again, and so on and so forth. But then something that we haven't necessarily spoke on specifically, though there have been rumors that have led us to believe this might be the case, is the Peter Parker involvement. It seems that, again, according to the rumors, we are going to be seeing Peter Parker courting the Fantastic Four, wanting to become part of their team, and the end result of that will be Reed Richards taking on Parker as his protege, which could be awesome, which could be really awesome. That's all we have for Fantastic Four. We are moving over now to more Honey, I Shrunk the Kids rumor. An apparent leak. I don't know how much of this could be true, so I'm not going to read the leak directly, but we will touch on a couple of points from it. An apparent leak from the character synopsis of Zelensky, Wayne Zelensky, you know, the Rick Moranis' character that may or may not actually be in the movie, says it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows if we do get Rick Moranis to come back, because the rumored synopsis, or the leaked synopsis, however you want to look at it, says that he will be in mourning from the loss of his wife. He will have shrunk himself and is living in this shrunken state, flying around on a drone, which is kind of funny, but he's, you know, bummed because he couldn't save his wife. He couldn't deal with her cancer, I believe was what the synopsis said. So they have a character bio in place should we actually get Rick Moranis back. We don't know if that's happening, so we're moving on to our last rumor, and that is a rumor that deals with a live-action version of Peter Pan. The rumor is that they have approached Joaquin Phoenix to play Captain Hook, which actually doesn't sound horrible. Because Joaquin is a great actor, I'm sure he can do great in a very lighthearted role like this would hopefully be. So I can totally get behind that. But that is the rumor mill for this episode, guys. And that's actually the end of the episode. So what did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down low. If though you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. All of the things that I always say, patreon.com/generallynerdy is the place to support. I'm trying to get this done and out, so we're not going to do the long sign-off. So before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.